What if I told you that hell is currently empty? You might be surprised to learn that even those who committed the gravest sins aren't facing eternal flames. Before we get started, welcome to my channel, where we peel back the layers of biblical history to reveal hidden truths and fascinating stories. If you enjoy our content, consider subscribing, and we promise to keep bringing you engaging and enlightening videos. But what really happens to those who don't believe in God? Luckily, the Bible tells us directly. To understand, we must comprehend that what we understand as hell is not just one place, but actually 3 different separate places. Let's understand this through the story Jesus tells us about the rich man and Lazarus. We will give a short recap. If you want the full story, check the link in the description box below. In Luke 16:19-31, Jesus tells a powerful story about 2 men, a rich man and a poor man named Lazarus. The rich man lived a life of luxury, while Lazarus, covered in sores, lay at the rich man's gate, longing for scraps from his table. When both men died, their fortunes were reversed. So it was that the beggar died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried, and being in torments in Hades, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Lazarus, the poor man, was carried by angels to Abraham's bosom, a place of comfort and rest, often interpreted as paradise. The rich man, however, found himself in Hades, in a place of torment. Despite being in the same general realm of the dead, a great gulf separated them, preventing the rich man from crossing over to where Lazarus was. Then he cried and said, "Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame." But Abraham said, "Son, remember that in your lifetime your good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted, and you are tormented. And all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that those who want to pass from here to you cannot, nor can those from there pass to us." Rich man's plea reveals the agony of his situation. He was tormented in flames, longing for just a drop of water to cool his tongue. But Abraham made it clear there was no crossing the divide between the comfort of paradise and the torment of Hades. Even though we've broken this down in a previous video, for those who have watched, please bear with me, and for those who have not, pay close attention. Hades, often translated as Sheol in the Old Testament, is described as the realm of the dead, a place where all souls go after death. But, as we've seen in the story of Lazarus and the rich man, not all souls experience the same fate in Hades. In ancient Jewish understanding, Sheol was the place where the dead awaited the final judgment. Both the righteous and the unrighteous went to Sheol, but their experiences were vastly different. Now in Psalm 16, King David expressed his deep trust in God to preserve life from death by stating, "This verse often suggests that even the righteous went to Sheol, but awaited their deliverance." Even Enoch, who had seen different heavenly realm, believed that the spirits of the unrighteous are held in a place of great pain, awaiting the day of judgment. The book of Jasher, which speaks of the wicked descending into a dark place filled with sorrow and suffering, reinforces the idea that Sheol, or Hades, is not a place of rest for those who have lived in defiance of God. Now, all in all, the first part of hell is in Hades, and known as torment. For those who do not believe in Christ, Hades is a place of torment, a foretaste of the final judgment to come. The rich man's experience gives us a glimpse of what this torment is like. He describes it as being tormented in flames, a place where relief is unattainable and the suffering is unending. The Bible also speaks of Hades as a place of regret and despair. Sheol, or Hades, is the first aspect of hell, a place of conscious torment, where the unrighteous are separated from the righteous, awaiting the final judgment. It is a place of fire, regret, and unending pain, where the consequences of a life lived apart from God are fully realized. The torment in Hades is a prelude to the final eternal punishment that awaits after the day of judgment. Now, let's dive into the second part of hell, Tartarus. This place is described as a prison for fallen angels and demons, a realm of even deeper darkness and torment. Tartarus is mentioned in both biblical and extra-biblical texts as a place of severe punishment. The Bible adopts this concept to describe where certain fallen angels are held in chains until the day of judgment. Peter chapter 2 states, "But cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to reserved for judgment." The term hell in this verse is actually translated from the Greek word Tartarus. Here, Peter tells us that God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them into Tartarus, a place of deep darkness, where they are bound in chains, awaiting judgment. The Book of Enoch provides further details about Tartarus. It describes the fall of certain angels, often referred to as the Watchers, who descended to earth and took human wives, leading to the birth of the Nephilim. Because of their rebellion, these angels were bound by God and cast into a place of deep darkness, consistent with the description of Tartarus. And again, the Lord said, "In this passage, the angel Raphael is instructed to bind Azazel, one of the leaders of the rebellious angels, and cast him into darkness." This place, described as a desert covered in jagged rocks, is eerily similar to the Tartarus mentioned by Peter, where the fallen angels are bound in darkness. Another example is in the Gospel of Luke, specifically Luke 8:30-31. Jesus encounters a man possessed by demons near the region of the Gerasenes. Jesus asks the demon-possessed man, "What is your name?" To which he replied, "Legion," because many demons had gone into him. These demons begged Jesus repeatedly not to order them to go into the abyss, Tartarus. The Book of Enoch describes how these angels are kept in Tartarus, awaiting the final judgment, just as Peter describes in his epistle. The concept of Tartarus is not just an invention of the apocryphal texts. It is acknowledged in the New Testament as a place where God's judgment on the rebellious angels is executed. Who did not keep their proper domain are now imprisoned in Tartarus, awaiting the final judgment. Jude chapter 1 states, "The torment in Tartarus is described as being more intense than the torment experienced in Hades." While Hades is a place for the souls of the unrighteous dead, Tartarus is reserved for the fallen angels who committed grave sins against God. The very presence of these angels in Tartarus speaks to the severity of their rebellion and the seriousness of their punishment. We've covered Sheol, or Hades, the place where souls of the unrighteous await judgment, and Tartarus, the abyss where fallen angels are held in chains. Now, let's delve into the most terrifying aspect of hell, the lake of fire. This is the final destination for everyone who does not believe in Christ, the place of ultimate and eternal punishment. The lake of fire is described as the final place of punishment for the wicked after the day of judgment. Unlike Sheol or Hades, which are temporary holding places, the lake of fire is permanent. This is the hell that most people refer to, a place of eternal fire, torment, and separation from God. The book of Revelation makes this extremely clear by stating, "Then I saw a great white throne, and him who sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged according to their works by the things which were written in the sea, gave up the dead who were in it. And death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And anyone not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Here, the book of Revelation describes the final judgment, where death and Hades themselves are thrown into the lake of fire. This place is called the second death, indicating that it is a final and irreversible state. Anyone whose name is not found in the book of life will be cast into this lake, where they will face eternal punishment. The book of Enoch provides a vivid description of the fate of the wicked. It speaks of a place of blazing fire, reserved for the unrighteous and the fallen angels. This fire is unquenchable, and the torment experienced here is beyond anything one can imagine. Enoch chapter 54 states, "And Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Phanuel shall take hold of them on that great day, and cast them on that day into the burning furnace, that the Lord of spirits may take vengeance on them for their unrighteousness in becoming subject to Satan and leading astray those who dwell on the earth." In this passage, the archangels are described as casting the wicked into a burning furnace on the day of judgment. This furnace is the lake of fire, a place where God's wrath is fully unleashed upon those who have aligned themselves with Satan. It's important to understand that no one is currently in the lake of fire. This place of final punishment is reserved for after the day of judgment. As we saw in Revelation 2014, it is only after the final judgment that death, Hades, and all those not found in the book of life are cast into the lake of fire. The book of Revelation states, "Then the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet, who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These two were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone." The lake of fire is described as a place of unimaginable torment. Unlike the temporary suffering in Hades, the punishment in the lake of fire is eternal. It's a place where the fire is never quenched and the pain never ends. Mark 9:24, Mark 9 states, "If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life maimed rather than having two hands to go to hell, into the fire that shall never be quenched, where their worm does not die, and the fire is not quenched." Jesus himself warns about the severity of the lake of fire. He describes it as a place where the worm does not die and the fire is not quenched. This imagery paints a terrifying picture of endless decay and burning, a place where the soul suffers eternally. As we've discussed, the lake of fire is not a current destination for the dead, but a future reality after the day of judgment. Revelation 20 makes it clear that only after the final judgment will the unrighteous be cast into the lake of fire. This is a sobering reminder that the choices we make in this life have eternal consequences. Revelation 20:10 states, "The devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever." After the final battle, Satan himself will be cast into the lake of fire, joining the beast and the false prophet. This will mark the ultimate defeat of evil and the beginning of eternal torment for all who have opposed God. The lake of fire is the final destination for all who reject Christ, a place of eternal punishment, burning with fire and brimstone where the suffering never ends. It's a place where even the mightiest of beings, including Satan, will be tormented day and night forever. When someone dies today, they do not go directly to the lake of fire, which is often thought of as hell. Instead, those who do not believe in Christ go to Hades, specifically the torment portion of it. This is a place of suffering and regret, where souls wait in anguish until the final judgment day. On the other hand, those who have followed Christ and lived righteously are taken to the opposite side of Hades, a place of peace and comfort, often referred to as paradise. Here, they wait peacefully until Judgment Day, free from the torment that the unrighteous endure. Tartarus, as we've discussed, is a separate place within hell, reserved for higher beings, fallen angels who have sinned against God. They are bound in chains of darkness, awaiting their own final judgment. Finally, after Judgment Day, both humans and higher beings who have rejected God will be cast into the lake of fire. This is the true hell, a place of eternal torment where the suffering never ends. The lake of fire is the final and permanent destination for all who have turned away from God. Jesus came and died to show us the path to life, to save us from the torment of Hades, Tartarus, and ultimately, the lake of fire. He offers us the way to paradise, a place of rest and peace, as we await the day when all things are made new. Remember, the choices we make now determine where our souls will spend eternity. Will it be in the comfort of paradise, or in the torment of Hades leading to the lake of fire? The decision is ours to make. Hopefully, you were able to learn something new in this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see everyone in the next video.